See, this is too much with the hats.
No, I love it, man. It's good.
Shit haircut instead.
Yeah, it's a good haircut.
Matt, right, you've got to stop lying.
I'm not lying.
Straight through it.
No, mate, straight up, it's good. You know me, man.
Right, so I'll tell you what, I think weirdly, my memory seems to be really good as opposed to people I talk to. So I'm gonna kick this one off with my first memory of you.
Okay.
It was like it was the band. You were in Vinyl Collide.
Yeah.
With that flower guitar. That is it. Yeah. What is it?
It's a 69 reissue Fender Telecaster.
It's a Telecaster.
Which I still got.
And you were playing you proper rock and roll lads, boogie on the drums.
Yeah.
Saw you in a local pub a couple of times, then saw you at a party, and then we both. Well, I got a job at Weatherspoons, not interviewed by you or anyone, and you turned out to be the manager of me, and I thought that was pretty nicely slotted in place.
But we slightly incorrect.
Is it?
Because my first memory of you, is interviewing you for that job.
Were you interviewing? I thought that ginger lass was interviewing me.
No, I interviewed because we had a conversation. My first memory of you is we had a conversation about Kasabian.
Yes, we did
in the interview.
You've got
you had memory. Yeah,
and you're right, wicked.
And then after that, I guess the only real memories of that time was, the famous drinking bottles of cider in the porker fridge.
It kept us going. I mean, it was a busy shift, wasn't it, the weekend? But it was good to have you to bounce off. And told you, was this probably you that came up with this nickname? I was called Tall Dude for quite a few years in Lincoln, and that was down to you, wasn't it? Was it?
Sorry about that, man. Yeah,
definitely you or Stu.
Yeah,
I love it. Why not? I'm a tall fucking dude.
Oh man, yeah. No, actually, no. Yeah, because so I remember.
Yeah.
After you started working for us, I saw you in what used to be called Punana's in Lincoln.
Punani.
And you were sat in one of them like snugs, and you were like this, and you had your big long Zeppelin hair. You had the girl either side of you. I was with my brother, and he was like, "Oh, who's that?" I guess, "Oh, that's the tall dude, man. He's just started working for us." He was like this Robert Plant guy, It was great. Yeah. No, you were a bit of like. I remember when we started going around to the Owsley house, and you were a bit of a legend. It was like, "Oh, is Toldy coming out tonight? Is he coming around?"
It was purely because I was 7 foot tall. It's just like, what is this entity coming in? And then, proper hippie with the hair, isn't it? But
it was, but it was everything, wasn't it? It was, you would when we'd be jamming, and you'd start singing and doing these like freestyles, and it was just like, just good vibes, wasn't it? I see a lot of people from that time.
Yeah.
I hear of people from that time who just. The prolonged taking of hallucinogenics and class A narcotics has not done them favors.
No, I mean, there's a steady line, like sort of things in moderation, but you've got to be careful because there are definite negatives, and that's one thing I want to talk about: the negatives and education for drugs. Because I think that needs to be installed in the younger generation. Because from where I can see, they're doing them more. They're wanting to do them more. So I think they need to know a real education from real people.
Yeah, I think
all I got was like, here's Dave. He's just come from local Nick. He's going to tell you about acid, and he's like, don't take acid, kids, because you'll have flashbacks. You'll be driving around the road, and then so it's just. I think that needs to change slightly. Education of it, basically, and then the attitude towards them will come with it, and people won't get segregated. But this is not what this podcast is about.
I think one of the big side effects that I'm seeing from sort of the circles that I've been in, including myself, is, you could relate it. You could say a lot of different things are responsible, but one thing that was never told was when we were like popping, triple dropping ecstasy and shoving half a pill up our ass, no one told us that in 15 years' time, I'd be having like anxiety attacks in my sleep. Now, are they linked? I don't know.
That's the thing. It's probably a stigma that makes you link that. We don't know, but the research needs to be done. It could be done quite easily, couldn't it? So why isn't it? I suppose is the question.
Yeah, and like going back to what you were saying, where if kids were instead of saying to an 18-year-old kid who wants to party, drugs are illegal, you'll get put in prison, they're bad. Why not say, you know, this could have a long-term effect on your mental health. This could affect how you can, whether you can confidently walk into a pub and speak to people. This could affect how you are on social media. This could affect so many things past just to getting arrested. Because let's be honest, no one cares about getting arrested. Like we've all been arrested, you know, for something, especially, you know, and it doesn't really have a big effect unless you carry in a couple of ounces of heroin.
Something stupid, and and we don't really fall into those traps. But anyway, I've talked too much about drugs. Got to get that out of my system. But one thing I wanted to sort of try and make a comparison between us two and the journeys that we've had is the education and how you ended up where you are, because I met you when I was doing a degree, but you weren't studying then, but then you went to Leeds College of Music to further your education.
Yeah.
Was it? And that was doing music tech or something? I've not
music production.
Music production.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sort of I've just had a music vibe all along, you know, nothing's really took off, or I've not really got serious with it, but I like just spontaneous jamming, like you know.
Yeah.
And we've done in the past. But do you think that music, the qualification that you did at college, was that good? Did that benefit you in terms of skills, or did it give you confidence? Did that do a lot for you in terms of your music creativity, not your anything else?
I would say, if you said to me now, how do I word it? I enjoyed uni. I enjoyed the experience of uni. Did it further my musical knowledge or creativity? I'd say no.
Yeah.
Did it progress my musical career? I would say no. Did it give me
confidence in your own ability? Did it do anything for that? Because you knew you were a face melting guitarist straight off the bat as you walked in.
What it did actually was it knocked me back, because I was, you know, for want of a better phrase, a bit of a cocky prick before I went to uni.
Yeah.
I went to uni, I came out with a first class honours degree, then after spending a month trying to find a job, ended up working in a warehouse for 4 years.
Same. Yeah, I was delivering tires.
Yeah, right. And that I remember, and this is not an exaggeration. The first day I worked in this warehouse, I worked with all like people from different nationalities, different countries, and no one really spoke much English. It was all like, do that, do this.
Similar experience.
I cried, man. I walked out of this thing and I was like, this is what's happened. You know, I went to uni, had all these aspirations. Things did come of it. I did end up doing a bit of work in music production. I ended up working down in London a little bit, which was quite good. But eventually I didn't want to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I just wanted to play guitar. So doing a degree in music production, I mean, just without getting on too much, I would say, in my humble opinion, you can't teach how to be successful in music. The most success I've had in music was when me and 3 mates got together, drunk a load of beer and played punk rock. That took me around the world. It got me a record deal. It, you know, got me to meet
I forgot about that. That was with Harry's band, isn't it? Well, what was the band? Brawlers, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that about that list. Sorry, I'm not.
Well, I'm not bothered about talking about it. Like,
it's definitely poignant in your journey. This is what I'm doing, Matt. Just to give you an overview, I'm getting in touch with all my old mates throughout my journey, and getting their experience and seeing where they're at now and where they want to go, because it's kind of all the unsung heroes that I think need exposure. Right. And I think the problem is now it's such a heavy line to get above, to get some respect and notoriety. of doing your craft. And look at your recent artwork. It's phenomenal, mate. It's phenomenal.
Very kind. Very kind.
I've shown it other people while I've been there. They're gobsmacked. It's like, wow. It's intricate. It's got, each image has got a story to it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Thank you.
Let's move on to that. This is flowing.
Okay.
Where's the sort of inspiration? Come, tell me about it. Matt and his cat.
The originally titled Matt and His Cat. So first of all, I've kind of written myself into a corner by calling it Matt and His Cat. Never intentionally meant to be something. It started out as nothing. I drew a random picture 4 or 5 years ago. I happened to put a little guy in it with his cat, and then I drew another picture with the same characters, and I thought, this is quite good fun. I'll call him Matt and His Cat. And then I kept drawing these pictures, and then I was like, oh, I should put these in a book. And then before I knew it,
sorry.
Oh no, all I was going to say was, now I'm like, oh, I don't really like the title, Matt and His Cat. But it's meant to be the mat is spelled with 1 T, so it's meant to be a kind of joke on a cat sat on the mat. You know, the most basic thing we first learn is that. And so now it's just a fun project. You know, I'm working on the second book and just spending my days drawing, and it's going good.
It's nice.
In terms of
would you say that has been a common theme for you and your creative endeavors? It sort of starts off with a squiggle, or you don't know where it comes from, and it evolves into something that you're still not quite, but it's coming through yet, or you can't explain it, or is a cognitive process and a plan, or does it just evolve through the flow and naturally and the interactions that you have?
So,
bit of a loaded question, that.
No. It's a good question. I know exactly what you're saying. The originally it was just free form. It'd be like, okay, I've got an idea in my head. I don't know what it's going to look like because I'm not a trained illustrator or artist, so I couldn't anyway map out how it was going to be. So I would just start drawing, and if it came out good, it came out good. And it was all about just getting as much stuff on the page. Over time, I've started to sort of appreciate things more like composition and, layout and, perspective. And so they've become a little bit more planned out now, but they're still very random. So I have an idea and I will start putting the foundations down, but it rarely turns out like I imagine it in my head.
Yeah. So
and I'll always, and that free association, I guess, that whole idea of like, I draw one thing on the page and then I start on the next thing, and then that will dictate the next thing. And then, the final stage of it is I take it into Photoshop and I'll start pulling a few bits together and maybe dropping a few other bits in. And that way I can then say I start going off on one, and then I look at it and I'm like, I've just drawn a car crash, but I've got some good bits. Rather than disposing of like a month's worth of work, I'll just jiggle it around a little bit in Photoshop and actually make it more aesthetically pleasing, rather than just a jumble.
Yeah, well, in Photoshop, is that quality control, or is that adding more, or is that creating a narrative?
Yeah, I think the photoshopping is what will create a bit more. It can nail the narrative, because say I've drawn something, but then I have a story, right? This is the story. The story starts here, finishes there, and in between there's going to be a set of 20 illustrations. But as I draw the illustrations, the story changes. So then I use Photoshop as a creative tool to try and bring it back home. So for example, a couple of illustrations I've drawn, I've then changed the story. So I'm like, oh, now I need another cat in that picture. And I've got the cat. I just lift that up and put it in there, and then he's in there as well. And I haven't got to discard the drawing, So it's all different creative elements, isn't it, to try and come up with something that people want to look at.
Is that the end goal?
No.
Good. I'm glad you said that.
the end goal is, so just going back a little bit to what we were talking about. So when I was when I was touring a lot, you know, I'd go out for 3 weeks, and you know, as you remember at the time, I was coming back from shows, and some nights I'd come round to yours, and we would just get smashed. And yeah, there's all sorts of horrible stuff going around at that time, like GB and freaking plant food and all that crap was going on. And then I'd do 3 weeks on tour, come back, and then the 3 weeks when I wasn't on tour, I'd be doing a few shifts down the pub, and then I'd be like seeing you guys getting wrecked, seeing other mates getting wrecked, and then I'd have a day off, and my brain would just be mush. Like I'd just be like face down in my bed, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So that's when I started, like, you know, doing a bit of drawing, because it takes your mind off it. You know, it's.
I felt like you suffered from. I had this ability not to really feel come downs. I felt like you suffered come downs the most.
I suffered real bad, man. Like, and it was.
But then your attitude was, because you're such a rock and roll Jim Morrison type, was let's do more, let's get going, and let's get fight through it. And then you were like, to me, I don't know, to everyone else, one of the life and souls of the party, you know.
That's very kind, man. It's very kind. I definitely wasn't the next day. But what I would do then is, when I had these few days off, to take my mind off stuff, I would draw, you know. It would be a relaxation, it'd be a meditation, without sounding too, you know, whatever.
No, that makes sense, mate.
And over time, you know, it's like now, for example, so I've just had Reuben, it was great. But we've moved. You know, I'm back in Lincoln now.
No.
Yeah, I've moved back. Yeah, so I've moved back to Lincoln when Ros was pregnant. So we've moved back here. We're doing things like buying houses. I'm finally learning to drive and all this sort of adult stuff, right? Imagine me. I had a driving lesson today. Bezzing up Linden Road, a little Peugeot, like. But
you need a people carrier, mate. You've got family now.
We've got a Land Rover.
Sorted then. Get driving, mate. You can't go around with the mum driving. You've got to be proper dad.
Exactly. But you know, again, it's like when all this is going on, I can retreat to my drawing for a couple of hours a night, and again, it just sort of mind off thing. It chills me out, and that's what the goal is my own peace of mind.
Yeah.
But if the byproduct of that is that I can shift a few bucks, that also gives me a goal. And sometimes you need a goal to create.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't write music anymore. The reason I don't write, which is sad, I play every day, but I don't write because I don't have a goal in music. And when you don't have a goal, as you get older, you're like, well, why am I going to write that song? Who's going to hear it? If you're creating and no one can hear it, it's a bit like, what's the point? Like
that's a good point, and it's
to a certain extent.
But my problem is I've never created to be heard.
Right.
It's create for the moment. I know it sounds cliche, but you know me. That's what I did.
Yeah, man. You walk into a room and start scatting.
So when you're doing that, you know, there is no plan. You want it all to happen instantly and to feel the energy in the bond between everyone and everyone contribute. I can remember one of those videos where we're jamming in Burley in the bedroom. You brought this random guy here. You brought this random guy around. I've got the video. I haven't fished it out. I could put it in the edit. But we're all there, wrecked. It was me, you, and Matt Bates. That was the first time you met him, wasn't it? It was just riffing vocals and just kept on going.
He was ace.
He had 3 bags of different assortment mix of narcotics, and we're just going. But you brought this random dude down, and it seemed like he was very insecure, like not as outgoing. And you handed him the guitar, and you were like, "Yeah, go on, do some of that, mate." And he kind of tried, and you were like, you were willing him on. You were like, I know you can do this. I know you can do it in the video as well. It's so funny. And then I get to some sort of change, like in some sort of bridge or something, and you just grab it off and just gives it here. They're the moments, mate. They're the moments you can't write, you can't plan.
Yeah. No, they were, man. I have so many fond memories of them jams, but like they're not like they're
not
not like actual
put out there.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
This is an interesting thing, because it's like you have two types of self. Don't you? You have your feeling self, where you're in that moment. And then you have your remembering self. And I guess what you could argue is them times are all about the feeling. We're all about being in the moment and just enjoying it. There's no end game. Just pure creative joy and being high as fuck. Whilst like with, you know, the other side of creativity is like you're thinking about the future self. So you're almost creating to for a purpose.
Yeah.
Which will always take away some of the enjoyment to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm trying to. Can we carry that? Can we kind of bring that little friend of moment joy along with planned creation?
Yeah.
And audience participation as well. Like, okay, well, loads of ideas we could do for that but ideas are just ideas. You've got to put them into place, haven't you?
Until they find a home, they're just floating around in the ether, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you know, it's the reason that all bands' first records are so good, because there's no end game. They're just a bunch of people getting in a room and having a good time, and someone's pressed record.
Yeah, you know? I mean that's a good point as well. I think they're right. But are we losing that with the current? Well, not current. I mean, it was you sort of talent shows, X Factor, Pop Idol, packaging young, really talented people creatively, and just using it as a business, which it is. Yeah. But do you think the skills of, like, you know, Jimmy Page, and are we going to get children from the next generation learning a craft and being this is the thing, being confident enough to keep going on that trajectory and put something out there and find those people? I mean, that's been the case for quite some time, because everything's so quick now. But do you think we're going to lose interest in gathering those sort of musical skills and just the BMX days? Do you know what I mean? With
I mean,
online, and it's all been.
It's, you know, the whole idea of getting in a room with jamming with people. I mean, do the youth of today still do it? They can't at the moment. You know, a group of 15-year-olds have lost an entire year, probably a vital year. You know, if you were a musician, if you think when I was 16, when you were 16, I know I'd pick up a guitar and a bunch of mates at school and play in a room together. That's the foundations. That is like the bedrock of your future musical career. Without that, what have you got? You watch X Factor and then you sit in your bedroom singing, and you go on X Factor, and then you get a record contract, and then you don't have one anymore, and then you're miserable.
It's just false, sort of, isn't it?
No, it's David Grohl made this great quote a while back about, you know, music is, you know, getting all your mates in a garage together, playing guitar, and you'll be shit and you'll suck, but that's the point. And you'll play and you'll practice and you'll get better, and that is where the joy comes from. That's the satisfaction. My favorite moments ever in music have always been the first rehearsals when you start a new band and you're all playing and you're having to turn your back because you're laughing, because it's so good and you're all so happy.
And you're just playing a D chord or something, aren't you? It's just a D. It's like,
the drummer's just feel it. And then you fast forward 4 years where, like, you know, you're playing on the biggest stage you played, and you're having an argument with your bass player because he's like drunk too much Jägermeister, and your singer's like necking some birds somewhere, and you're stressed out because you're having to sound check, and you're like, this could not be, like, this may seem like the best part of being in the band, but that was the best part. It was like a
backwards run for you, wasn't it? I don't know. Crazy times, man. So moving back to Martin's Cat, have you got any drawings that you could show us now?
Yeah, man.
Please.
All right, I've got my like portfolio here just out on the side. So
I reckon it'd be good. I'm sure you've done videos like this or something. I don't know.
Not really. No. So I'll show you like a few things. So I'll just do a little like. So this is the first ever Martin's Cat I drew. So you can sort of see how it's like pretty kind of like basic vibes. She's got a little dude. Cat looks more like a fox. All the buildings are a bit wonky. You know,
See, this is it. Right? No, Matt. Let me stop you there, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for presenting that. Could you present it once more?
Oh, sorry.
This is it. When artists explain the work, it's just like, yeah, that shit. That shit. We all know. Yeah, we pick faults, and nothing's ever good enough for us to put it out. But as a lesson for that, can you point to anything and tell me what you like about it?
No, do you know what? Like, it's a nice composition. It looks like a nice kid's illustration. You know,
I kind of like you've gone like with the balloon head. You've gone way off piste and gone out the border within a border.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I like that.
That's a bit rebel towards the line drawing and strictness of it.
So I guess, like, if I pull out some sort of kind of stuff that I've been doing a bit more recently, like, so okay, this is like,
yes, mate.
My man in his like diving suit here, and he's
how long? I suppose is the first question that will probably enter everyone's head. How long would that take?
Anywhere from like maybe 2 weeks to a month to a couple of months. You've got this like, you know, nice castle vibe going on. So that's the one that you can see the difference between that and then how it was edited in Photoshop. So what I will show you is like a difference between, because I've got an actual printed, so like, excuse me for a sec. So this is like one that's been printed after it's been Photoshopped. So
so you get that nice gradient on the background.
Yeah,
it's more flat.
Shadows that are chucked in. You know, and then just, I don't know, really. I've got all sorts of crap here.
I love it, mate.
This is like a laboratory I've been working on. You can see, like, it's quite big. So
John is in the basement mixing up the medicine.
Yeah, that's it, right? But yeah, you know, I could sit here all day, but I don't want to bore anyone. But
so you're doing it again. We've got to snap that out of ourselves.
I can't help it,
we do want to help everybody, and we want to explain the ins and outs to our.
But this is what I'm working on at the moment. This is my newest thing. I've only just really drawn the sort of buildings there. You can see.
I saw that on Instagram. Yeah.
So what
very Victorian, would you say?
It's a bit mix of Georgian, sort of faux medieval, I guess, Tudor. You know, so you've got like a couple of Georgian townhouse type thing. You've got like your faux Tudor type thing. But this is basically going to be, it's going to go all the way up, and once I pop it in, it will be like flooded. So this will all be, I'll have reflections underneath, and then I'll have a little cat on a hang glider who's trying to find the antidote. That's fun.
I love it, mate.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, it's a process, and it can take anywhere up to like a month. Some pictures I start, you know, and then I'm like, it's not very good, and I'll discard it, and then I'll come back to it a month or two later. But actually, there's some bits there that are all right, and maybe I'll use that. Maybe I'll use this. Yeah,
just keep working at it, innit?
Working at it, man. Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah, one thing I've got to get used to. Keep having it rather than veering off into wherever the wind takes me, you know.
So you I mean, last time I saw you properly, I guess, would have been Leeds, and you were doing like a lot of videography for club nights still.
Yeah. I just went with the flow with that club stuff, and it was all word of mouth, no marketing. Just hopped from place to place, and went with the flow, and it's done me really well in terms of my outlet and my well-being in the mind, I believe, because there's been little to no stress.
Right.
But the money, you know, money I made a lot, and then I lost a lot, and then I made a lot, and you spend it. The more you make, it's not about that. It's just about doing what I like to do, and being able to live.
Were you still doing that when I mean, I don't really want to, I'm sure none of us want to talk about bloody COVID and pandemics, but were you still doing that when that hit? So did that affect you in any way?
Yeah, of course it did, because it's clubs and stuff. But sort of over the years, I moved from doing all one-man band to organising all crews, job specific, and then whittled it down to I like going and seeing the people at parties and organising a cameraman and then doing the post-production. So I was just post-production towards the end.
Right, okay.
And it's like freelance, but it fizzled out nice, and I didn't do anything about client relationship or anything, things that I knew about business, but I kind of rebelled against, because I'm like, you kind of put it as it's all been word of mouth, surely the jobs will come in, but they don't over time. And it got down to one client was hanging on for dear life, and it was a slow spiral that needed to happen.
Yeah.
You sort of hit rock bottom and then get back on your feet and do something else.
So where are you living now? What city are you in?
In Bradford, mate. The city
okay.
where I was born, but soon.
How is it?
Get a camper van and travel the worldingtons again.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Is it?
I want to be mobile.
Sounds a great plan.
It's that thing, like a couple of books. I don't know if you've heard of the concept of 1,000 true fans.
I don't think so.
No. Tim Ferriss. Have you heard of Tim Ferriss?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I'll send you these links after. He does a very good book and a podcast called The 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss.
Right.
And the concept is based on having 1,000 true fans. My big problem about marketing and advertising is, the kind of deceit of it. Whether that be online or not, it's been out since business. That has been a thing. It could be in real life with billboards making your taste buds be tantalized, and you go out and get that product, or it could be online. But I don't like. So if you've got this concept, basically, if you've got 1,000 true followers that are with your ethos, like there could be 1,000 true Matt and his cat fans that just buzz off it, and you get them like that. You just got to put a bit into promotion, your profile, and then you can earn money as you go off things like affiliate. Just put a product out there. They don't have to buy it, but the company pay for you to have it on your profile.
Yeah. And
you just get paid like that. I mean, that would be my ideal, because there's no sort of I'd be, quite open with followers. Check out this product. It's a really great one. It'd be a product that I endorse, that I like as well.
Yeah.
But they don't have to buy it. You're just getting money from the company to have that space on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's how I've sort of justified the direction I'm going in now.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Because the heavy marketing is just I don't think it sits well in a lot of people's heads. I think that's
isn't for me, man.
That's the reason for a lot of anxiety and stuff nowadays. I think that's just my personal view. I think it sits back of your head, and
well, people put too much emphasis on things, like social media, for example, like how many followers someone has. You look at a page, that person's got 10,000 followers. I've only got 100. Why is that? But then you look at the interactions. Then followers could be bought. They could be people who just follow as many people as they can, and then just unfollow them all. Just
quality,
all that nonsense.
That's what I'm saying.
All that rubbish, and I hate it. And when if someone follows me on Instagram, and I like their work, I will follow them back. If I don't, I won't. It's as simple as that. There's no I'll follow you if you follow me, because it's like at the end of the day, like,
what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
We're just creating fake.
What are we doing?
And who's that helping? I see. I mean, it's
helping the anxiety bubble get bigger, sir.
I saw someone the other day, and he was like, he'd done a post, and it said, "I've reached 2,000 followers. Thank you, everyone, so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you." Right. And I clicked on his profile. Man's following like 15,000 people to get to He's like working. He's
putting his fellowship.
Yeah. And he's paying to promote every single post he puts out there.
That's it, mate.
He hasn't got a product for sale. The product is himself. And what he's trying to gain is some sort of self-appreciation that he can't get from life. Like but what he's actually creating is an anxiety where I need followers, I need to I need to look good on social media.
Beautifully put.
It's horseshit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to
swear.
No,
that was beautiful, mate. That's exactly the point.
It's sad, and I see it all the time, especially in the creative world. Like, there's a lot of creatives that I follow and mutual follow who they just do it the right way. Draw a nice picture they like or something they're working on. They post it, say, "Hey, this one's drawing." People like it, they interact. They'll comment on other people's photos that they like. But there's none of this false, "Hey, love your work, check out my profile." There's none of this like. It's just mutual appreciation of art, and you probably get it in all fields: media, music, food, pubs, hospitality, whatever. You've got people who are just out there to make themselves appear bigger. Because there's this idea that if you appear bigger, more people will follow you. And all it's doing is creating just this huge facade of bullshit.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people will be with us on that, but it's the point of regulating it, because there's pirates in any sort of industry or business. Yeah. So how do you stop, one little, I don't know, one person that's not got the wrong intentions, or organization got the wrong intentions? It's a big one. How do you regulation is a big one for that. But I'm with you on it, mate. I'm with you on it. Yeah. Big thing that in my when I was producing videos, big, not turning point, but I had the Facebook accounts, because when we started doing them, it was a new thing, video clubs, and get exposure and get your brand awareness out there, and people can tag people in videos, whatever. But it was only a few years ago I've actually noticed, because I don't really look at price, figures and stuff. Noticed that they were paying more for the Facebook ads of that video than about 3 times as more than they paid me to film, to post-production, to film and edit it. Yeah. So I think the job was not much, but I saw that they put over £1,000 on this one Facebook ads push. So I'm like, hang on a minute, I created the bugger, and you're putting more onto the social online media juggernaut to get eyeballs on it. And it was a big head scratchy moment, but I understood it. It's a big beast that needs that much money to be able to sniff at you.
Yeah, but, I agree. I mean, it's everywhere, isn't it? Marketing budgets are in place. Yeah. For a film, your marketing budget's there before your film budget's there. It's like, right, we're going to spend £200 million marketing this film. It's going to cost 50 million. I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but same with albums. A band put an album out, the label are like, marketing. It's like you want to get an article in Enemy, online Enemy, about your band. Well, you've got to take out a £3,000 ad with Enemy. Not that the paper exists anymore. Going back a little bit, but the world's always worked like that, hasn't it? It's never going to change.
Do you not see what? Can you see any resolution or any easing off of? Well,
I think
tactics to make way for pure creativity, I suppose. Whether that be music or art or anything.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so we're talking about the negatives of social media, but there is a positive side, because there are communities within social media that don't rely on advertising. And the same in, podcasts is a good example, because I listen to a lot of podcasts that have become, really popular purely by word of mouth, and they make their money from Patreon. So it's like, they haven't got advertising budgets, but what they say is, we're going to create more and more content, and if you want it, you can pay for it. And it's an extra $5 a week or whatever. And people go for it, because at the moment, there's not a lot to do apart from listen to podcasts. I consume so much podcast.
You're either a consumer, or you're a creator, or you're straddling.
Yeah.
I'm straddling a right horse at the moment. Yeah. It's just not it's not learned how to gallop.
Things like Patreon and GoFundMe, these sort of things can get your product out there and to the right people. And you're not going to make millions of pounds. You might scrape a living if the word of mouth grows enough. But again, it comes down to what your end point is. For me, I would like people to see what I do who would like what I do. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. I'm not Coca-Cola trying to take people away from Pepsi. I'm not trying to say I don't need the 1 billion subscribers of Instagram to see my work. I need, like you say, 1,000 people who enjoy it, and they're out there somewhere.
And then you got your own little, it's not a cult, it's not a tribe, it's like producing things that's being received well, and it's a plus everywhere and every level in it. But then but it's a tough one with artists because I don't know, you got your sort of Jimi Hendrix type who I suppose I'm not in his talent, but he'll just sell a guitar to get his next meal. Whereas, he's just living and he'll sign a contract for anything and get fucked over.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the stereotypical artist, and it is pretty much their mindset, but they're all becoming a lot more clued up, and you have to be if you're going to put yourself out there. But
the younger generation, again, sort of various sort of artists and creatives that I know and met from London. You've got 21-year-olds with exceptional talent, but are also business savvy, which is something that I never was. I remember when MySpace came along, and I was just afraid of the keyboard. I'm not going near that, man. Like, I just want to play guitar and jump around. But now that's not enough anymore. You do have to be more rounded if you want to be successful. You have to be able to play that guitar. You also need to be able to sing and write songs, and you need to be able to record it all to a high standard. Then you need to be able to release it. You need to do all the press, marketing. If you can do all that, you're all right.
But these are individual crafts in themselves, individual art forms in themselves. Like marketing is an art form. Yeah. So, whereas I think people are quick to point the finger, everyone's just been doing their own art form.
Yeah,
that is it. So nobody can point a finger and whatever. And there's got to be respect for everyone doing their thing, pushing humanity forward the way it's going. But I just reckon we need an easy enough period now, and everyone to chill out.
It's not going to happen. I mean, I think COVID was that. But I think, we as humans are becoming more intelligent. We're becoming far more intelligent, far more capable. We have so much more, we don't need to be smart because we can get Wikipedia on our phone within half a second. We're cyborgs. We have a second brain. Do you know what I mean? Like, and
the hybrids. And that, but yeah.
And because people are getting smarter, you can Google anything. When I was doing the first book, I needed to figure out how to build a website. I need to figure out how to write. Right? I'd not written a book before. I need to find out how to market. I need to find out how to print, how to use InDesign to pull all the illustrations together. And I'd never used Photoshop until 2 years ago. So I had to learn all these skills. I just pulled it all off Google. I didn't enjoy a lot of it, but I did it.
Didn't enjoy it.
Did I enjoy it?
Yeah.
No.
All right. See, I kind of like delving into if it's helping you, the bigger picture. Like marketing, I suppose it's a massive fucking thing, isn't it?
It was just a lot. It was, there was a satisfaction about it, but the thing is, when you do everything yourself, you're too close to it. You can't be objective anymore or subjective. And I needed someone to be like, well, actually, why don't you use a different font there? Why don't you change the size of that picture or that bit, or why don't you change that bit of the story, or why don't you do this? And this is why you need different people to all come in to make a project better. That's why. Yeah. But it's hard to find. That's why I'm using my brother to do some writing on this one.
Just because it's your bro and we'll do it for free.
Yeah, we've had a baby in a lockdown. That's been tough. Can't see anyone. You can't. You can't take him anywhere. You can't take him to any baby clubs. You can't meet any other children.
But you got both parents there for that moment. That's amazing. I think that's wicked.
Yeah, but at the same time, my mum's only held him once. because they're literally full isolating. We've been in the bubble with Roz's parents, which has been nice because it meant that they can see him. But yeah, it's had its challenges. You know, you just sat at home every day. Like, I'm taking walks around the Belgate every day. I'm just like, you know, but I can't complain.
It's good. It's good because I'm getting everyone's, you know, perspectives on how lockdown's been, and there's you with having a child through lockdown. That's amazing. Well done. You work. I don't even know if I work yet, mate. I'm thinking about going to get sperm count, seeing if they're just drongos and all the drug abuse,
right?
At walls and shit.
Well, have you been trying?
No.
Oh. So I've
got to sort myself out first, mate. You what?
Was that your girlfriend, partner there?
She's a friend. Okay. She's a girl. And we get on really well, and we argue as well. But that's the duality of being human in life. Look what she done. What has she done, mate? She gave me a beaver tail or something.
I like it. It's good.
Anyway, Matt, that was wicked, mate. Where can we find you, Matt?
You can find me on Instagram at Matt and his cat with 1 T, and on Facebook, same handle.
Right in. Can we have a wink? Wink in the gun.
Which side?
Matt, it's been a pleasure, mate. Much love and happiness to you and the newborn and the other one and your missus and your cat.